Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing a review of the Lankeleisi XT750 fat tyre electric bike. Now, first of all, I'm going to be doing a walk around, be telling you all about the specification, and after that we'll be going for a quick test ride. So without further ado, let's have a look at the bike. Well, there it is folks, the Lankeleisi XT750 fat tyre electric bike. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I actually think it's a really cool looking bike. Now, first of all, we'll have a quick look at the front suspension here. We've got a looks like a motorcycle style fork. Stanchions are finished off, as you can see, in a nice sort of anodised gold finish. These actually work quite well. You can't lock them out, but you can adjust the preload on them a little bit. Right, we've got a front headlight, got a quick release wheel on the front. The front wheel bearings are nice and smooth, which is always a good sign. Now, this bike can be folded up. I personally don't see the point of having a folding e-bike that's this big and heavy, but I suppose if you were pushed for storage space, you could take the pedals off and fold it in half. We've got a Pro Wheel triple crankset with a Shimano Altus derailleur and a 9-speed rear cassette, so good spread of gears, 27 gears in total. I mean, most fat tyre e-bikes I test are, generally speaking, a single chainring on the front and 7 gears on the back, so this has got a good spread of gears. Front derailleur is a Tiguan. It shifts actually really well on the front. I'm pleasantly surprised. Back derailleur shifts really well. Really good for getting up hills actually. Right, we've got a GSX 200 rear shock absorber. Seems to work well, seems quite firm. Gives the bike a magic carpet kind of ride. This key here is what you use to unlock the battery. You also have to switch it on in order to power up the display. Of course, these are the linkages for the rear suspension unit. Obviously we have the pannier rack, rear mudguard. Now, I have swapped out the saddle. The saddle it came with was comfortable to sit on, but it was one of those big squidgy saddles that quite often you find on these fat tyre e-bikes, and personally I don't like using those saddles. I find them uncomfortable and they tend to dig in to the backs of my legs when I'm pedalling, so I've just put my old faithful charged spoon on there. This is my bag, by the way. This didn't come with a bike. Right, the tyres. Right, they are Chow Yang, and actually I had similar tyres to these on the Engway I had last year. They're 26 by 4 inches. Right, let's have a little look at the front here. Right, we've got Zoom hydraulic disc brakes, and these ones do have the built-in cut-off sensors. Again, the grips, it does actually come with a twist throttle. Now, I don't like to use a twist throttle, so I've basically put these Rock Bros grips on I had knocking about. They're actually a bit more comfortable as well. The grips the bike comes with, very basic, very sort of rudimentary, quite hard. So I fitted these because I'm doing about 25 to 30 miles on this today, and I didn't want to be too uncomfortable. Right, we've got 180mm discs with the Zoom hydraulic brake calipers. Brake performance is actually quite good. I'm pleasantly surprised with brake performance. I've got no complaints in that department. There we go, that is the cadence sensor. And finally we've got the rear brakes. Now let's talk a little bit about the motor. Right, the motor is a geared rear hub motor, as is often found on these bikes. It's a 750 watt hub motor, and performance has been very good. This has got 5 levels of assist. I've only been using it in assist level 2 and 3, and that seems to be plenty of power. The battery on this particular model is in here. You have to open that, flick it, and then that's how you access the battery, pull it out. It's a 48 volt 17.5 amp hour. Now Lankeleisi don't specify what cells are used, it just says 18650 cells, so I would have to assume they are kind of generic cells. But performance wise, I mean, I've done 18 miles today so far. The battery wasn't fully charged. I think it was probably about 80, maybe 85% charged when I headed off. So I've done 18 miles in level 2 and 3, very hilly ride, and I've dropped about 3 bars out of 10, I think it is, on there. So anyway, yeah, the display, it's a typical display. You can change time, I haven't set that, error codes. You know, there is an advanced settings feature, so you can change your speed limit on this. It comes at set, I think, 50 kilometers an hour out of the box. 5 levels of assist, obviously 0, then 1 to 5. The motor's got plenty of power end of the day, so I'd imagine peak power is probably going to be around about 1200 watts. So anyway, yeah, there you have it, guys. The Lankeleisi XT750 fat tyre e-bike. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it for a quick spin, get some footage for you, and then I'll come back and give you my final thoughts. Right, let's go. Right, first of all, the pedal assist is really smooth on this bike. You start pedalling and it does come in quite smoothly, and it also cuts out quite smoothly as well, which is nice. I've always found cadence systems to be quite on and off, but the pedal assist on this bike is very smooth. It's also quite responsive as well. So it doesn't, you know, it starts pretty quickly after you start pedalling, which is always a good sign. Gear shift nicely. Brakes are set up UK spec, so front brake is on the right and rear brake is on the left. Quite often these e-bikes have it set up the European way. Right guys, hope you enjoyed the video footage. Right, so what do I think of the Lankeleisi XT750? Well, I'll be quite honest with you, I was pleasantly surprised when I got it and rode it. It is quite comfortable. Now I've got my charge spoon saddle on there. It's a big bike. They do state on their website that I think it's 5'6" to 6'5". It's certainly aimed at the taller rider. I mean, I'm just over 6 foot, about 6'1", and I feel very comfortable on it. It's got a very kind of stretched out riding position. I tested the Himaway Cruiser last week, and that's got a really relaxed, sort of upright, very comfortable riding position. I'd say this has got more of a sporty riding position. I'm not sure how a shorter rider would get on with it. I think you'd probably struggle. I would recommend maybe sort of at least 5'7", 5'8", as a minimum for this bike. But it's very comfortable. The motor performs very well. It's very smooth. It's very quiet, which is always a good thing on these fat tyre e-bikes. Battery range so far seems to be quite good. I'm just coming up to 20 miles now, and I'm still showing 7 bars out of 10, which I think's okay. I'm not a big fan of suspension on fat tyre e-bikes. I think it's unnecessary, but the suspension on this bike does seem to work quite well. The only time it becomes a problem is when you're going up a steep hill and you're putting a little bit of a pedalling effort in, and it does tend to bounce around a little bit. But when you're riding it on the road, it feels quite pleasant. I'd say it's kind of like a magic carpet ride. It feels very smooth. It just kind of glides across the surface. The gears work very well. I was a little bit skeptical of a 27 speed setup on a bike like this at least. I'm a big fan of one-by drivetrains, and the gears shift really well. It's dependable Shimano shifting. I've got no complaints in that department. The bike has been well set up. You know, the gears are indexed, they shift nicely, there's no problems at all there. Yeah, there's not a lot I can say about it really, but I'm impressed with it. I think if you're in the market for a fat tyre e-bike and you want to spend around about, I think this is around about £1,700, you know, I think it's pretty good value for money, and I'd have no trouble in recommending it. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up now, guys. If you've got any questions about this bike, please leave a comment below, and if you found this video useful, please don't forget to like it and subscribe. I will be adding more content in the future. See you later, guys.